Billionaire Jack Ma returns to China after year-long overseas travel. Most U.S. companies no longer rank China in the top 3 overseas investments. Hong Kong has first protests since 2020. Amid sanctions, Russia makes itself dependent on the Chinese yuan. Devastating explosion in Heilongjiang. 7 floors burnt down, causing 1 death, 7 injured.
Jack Ma, the founder of China's e-commerce giant Alibaba, returned to mainland China, ending more than a year of overseas travel. Ma visited a school he founded in Hangzhou, where Alibaba is headquartered. The South China Morning Post reported that on Monday, March 27th, Ma met teachers and students at a private school funded by Alibaba founders in 2017. The Chinese billionaire talked about education and ChatGPT with the school. Ma is one of China's best-known businessmen. He left mainland China in late 2021 and has been spotted in Europe, Japan, Australia, and Thailand since then. The Financial Times reported that he has been living in Japan for 6 months and becoming interested in art. Earlier this year, Jack Ma gave up control of his firm Ant Group as the billionaire founder retreated further from his business empire. Ma's whereabouts have been a subject of intense speculation, since he disappeared from public view over 2 years ago when he publicly criticized Chinese financial regulators. His criticism has landed him in trouble with Beijing since then. The regime has targeted and cracked down on his 2 firms, e-commerce giant Alibaba and fintech Ant Group, following the expansive regulatory crackdown on the tech sector in the country. The Chinese regime derailed Ant's initial public offering, or IPO, worth $37 billion in 2021, which would have been the world's largest IPO. The failed IPO caused the fintech giant to go through a forced restructuring plan, and speculation that the Chinese billionaire would have to give up control. The Chinese regime also targeted Alibaba with a record fine of $2.8 billion for antitrust violations. Ma became China's richest man as his stock price reached a high point in 2020, but has now fallen out of the top 50 in the Forbes billionaire rankings. According to Forbes data, Ma is ranked 67th on the world's wealthiest people list, and 5th on China's rich list, with $23.9 billion. Recently, AmCham's latest annual China Business Climate Survey report of its more than 900 member companies shows that most American companies have a more negative attitude towards doing business in China than in the past. Michael Hart, president of the American Chamber of Commerce in China, said that the ongoing tension between China and the United States is affecting the investment interest of American companies in China. He added that the attitude of American companies towards doing business in China is more negative than it has been for a long time. Besides political pressure, he also highlighted some other problems. For example, travel has become more complex, labor costs are rising, and executives must be willing to accept assignments to China. The American Chamber of Commerce survey report shows that the member companies of the Chamber of Commerce are less willing to increase investment in China. More than 900 American Chamber of Commerce members no longer see China as one of the top 3 investment priorities. Among the surveyed companies, the proportion of companies that believe that uncertainty in bilateral relations is the main challenge they face in China has risen to 66%. 49% of surveyed companies think China needs to be more welcoming to foreign companies. AmCham members include some of the most successful companies in the United States, such as Nike, Intel, Pfizer, and Coca-Cola.
Hong Kong has had the first ever demonstration in 3 years since the introduction of Beijing's National Security Bill. It is an authorized protest, and demonstrators are restrained by a set of conditions. According to the South China Morning Post, the people gathered to oppose a land reclamation plan in the city's Heilongjiang O-Town at around 11 a.m. on March 26th. While around 300 people registered to attend the rally, the police capped the number at 100 and 80 managed to show up. With heavy police surveillance, they had to wear number tags around their necks and were banned from wearing masks. The SCMP said the police argued it was to prevent criminals from sneaking alongside protesters and instigating illegal and violent acts. Those who wished to wear masks were told to provide proof of reasonable excuse to law enforcement before the rally. AFP added that their place cards were also examined for politically sensitive and seditious language. A cordon separated the media and the marchers. An attendee, who was also a retired civil servant, called it a shame parade. The person told AFP, "This is intimidation, but what can we do? Now even trying to take a breath of fresh air may endanger national security." A 49-year-old journalist from England, James Ockenden, told SCMP, "The government is clamping down on protests now. Because, you see, we have to wear numbers around our chests. It's humiliating. I really don't want to see that." This is the first march against a government proposal since 2020 following the dismantling of all COVID-19 rules earlier this year.
Russia has become one of the few countries that use China's renminbi or the yuan for its foreign reserves, trade, and personal finance services. As the Financial Times reported from the SWIFT global payment system, Russia was the fourth largest economy in terms of yuan trading volumes in February, excluding Hong Kong. However, it has drastically shifted from before its full-blown Ukraine assault when it ranked 15th. Natalia Revenko, the founder of bank service Help You, told the publication that just last year, China's yuan was still seen as an exotic currency used only by those engaging with the country. She said, "Now people use it for all types of foreign transactions, even those having nothing to do with China." Before the war, more than 60% of Russia's export payments were done in the dollar and euro, whereas the yuan constituted less than 1%. However, with Russian authorities deeming Western currencies toxic, their share has declined to less than half of the country's export payments. On the other hand, the yuan is enjoying 16% of the share and is expected to keep growing. Moreover, Russian President Vladimir Putin this month has backed the broader use of the Chinese currency globally, saying that Russia's dealings with countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America should as well adopt it. The Times noted that over 50 Russian banks have deposits in yuan, often with names such as Silkway and Crescent Moon. They are also giving it higher interest rates than US dollars to engage the attention of the common folk. Natalia Labrovna, a chief economist at BCS Global Markets, said such reliance could hurt Russia. But, she said, the problem is not the cooperation with China itself, but that Russia has replaced multiple trading partners with only one player. Alexandra Prokopenko, a former advisor at the Central Bank of Russia, called Russia's troubles a gift for China, which has been seeking to globalize its currency through foreign trade. She said the most significant threat for the Kremlin would be Beijing's unforeseeable currency swings. For example, when Beijing suddenly wants to lower its currency value, as it has done before. Then, she said, Russian reserves go down, trade contracts are disrupted, and Moscow can do nothing about it. On March 25th, a huge explosion occurred in a building in Harbin City, China. The building was destroyed and many rooms burnt down. A resident living nearby said the building, which is 7 stories high, had almost all of the glass windows shattered. At about 5:10 p.m. on March 25th, an explosion occurred at the Vienna Riverside New City community, Daowai District, Harbin City. According to nearby residents, there was a loud noise when the explosion happened, and it was most severe on the first and second floors. After the explosion, several people were found injured lying on the ground, according to Jimu News. A video shows the building's shards of glass and aluminum alloy window frames were shattered everywhere. The vehicles parked around were damaged to varying degrees. The scene was chaotic. Some people fell to the ground, and their current condition is not clear. Another video shows firefighters clearing the scene. Many people standing around watching. A trader nearby told Tianmu News the explosion originated from a shop on the first floor of the building. This person said, "I heard a loud noise and thought it was an earthquake. The store's door was blown apart, the walls shook, almost all the glass from the first to the 7th floor was broken, and other glass panes were deformed. Besides the building, many of the surrounding houses' glass was also damaged." According to the Southern Urban newspaper, at about 7:30 p.m. on March 25th, an employee of the Daowai Emergency Management Bureau said the fire had been extinguished. The incident left 1 person dead and at least 7 injured. The cause was preliminarily identified as a gas explosion, and police are still investigating. Local residents reported on the explosion as follows. About 4 to 5 p.m. in the afternoon, when I was at home, I heard a loud bang. I thought it was an earthquake, but after knowing about it, I was terrified, hoping there were no casualties. This residence was quite close to my house and it was very noisy at the time. In fact, in recent years, similar explosions have occurred repeatedly in China. For example, on June 21st, 2022, a gas explosion in Tianjin City injured 23 people. On June 13, 2021, a gas explosion in Xi'an City, Hubei province, killed 25 people and injured 138. On September 11th of the same year, a liquefied gas storage tank in Dalian, Liaoning province, leaked, causing 8 deaths and 5 injuries. On October 21st, 2021, an explosion occurred at a Shenyang hotel, killing 4 people and injuring 47.